We're going to go big.
With Baines at the
Baines at the 5.
With Embiid out, what went into that decision?
Obviously there's multiple matchups that you look for in a game. We've been mixing it up all year, and so it was more about matching up at the other positions than necessarily at the 5.
Brad, without Embiid in there, there's still a pretty good rebounding team. Talk about how they compensate without Embiid out there on the glass.
Well, we played them I think twice last year without Embiid. In the first one, we won by 2 or 4. We won in the last 30 seconds. The second one, they beat us there. They play a little bit differently, obviously, because they post a little bit less, but certainly they will still post some. They just fly. They play with great pace, and that pace breaks down your defense. And then as a result, they're able to get their loose balls or their rebounds and make you pay. Saric is great on the glass. Their wings are great on the glass. Obviously, Amir has always been a good rebounder. Those guys are hard to keep off of there if you can't keep up with the ball as they're running their offense.
Your other starting lineup with Marcus Morris struggled defensively. To what do you attribute those struggles?
From everything that I can tell, there's not enough minutes played to read too much into it. I think that ultimately, for whatever reason, that has been the case early, but we're going to keep mixing that lineup in there. There's not enough of a sample size with that group minutes-wise. I think the last I looked, it was just over 100 minutes or whatever it was together, and, it's a long year. Because he's a good defender, and it makes sense that we would be a good defensive team.
Coach, last night with Ben, with the free throws, how do you approach something like that?
I mean, we've used that deal before, where you foul somebody and send them to the line. Obviously, last night was probably the most unique I've ever seen. For some reason, I was glued to my TV, like everybody else was. But I give him a lot of credit. He didn't change his demeanor once. He stepped up, and by the end of it, he was knocking in 2 for 2 each time. So, that's the hard part. You give a good player a rhythm. He sees the ball go through the net. Other good things happen for him. Obviously, it worked for Washington to get back in it, not because he was necessarily missing 2 every time. It was because they were scoring 2 or 3. But he's a heck of a player, and obviously you don't want to be in a position where you're down 20 and you have to manage the clock that way.
Just how
They were down 20. That it was
Yeah, I mean, you could ask. I mean, I think Scott Brooks can answer that. I don't know the answer to that, but that would be my guess.
Just how valuable has it been for Jason Tatum's development to play this much as a rookie for a contending team, one of the best teams in the league?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that we need him, and we're asking him every day to play different roles and do different things, and sometimes in actions be a part of the action and be a go-to guy in the action, and other times be a guy that spaces the floor for us. Defensively, it continues to do a lot of good things, but has found some matchups where he can get a lot better and learn from that, and hopefully play better against them the second or third time he plays them. He's a good player. We need him, and I'm kind of over how young he is, because we need him. We just need him, and he's done a good job thus far. But we're only 20 some odd games in.
Does it help playing for a contender as opposed to a team that's not contending?
I don't know if we're a contender. We're 22 games in, Bill. We won a bunch in a streak where we came back from 16 down. So we'll see how good we are.
Coach, do you gauge his minutes at all? Do you have that in mind? I know we're only 22 games in, but
yeah, we're very cognizant of everybody's minutes, both short term and big picture.
Brad, how much do you coach to a team who played last night and you guys were off? How much do you do that during the course?
None. Nope. I've seen games where teams have come off of a back-to-back and absolutely killed it. And I've seen games where teams that have had 5 days off that, can't get it going. I mean, it can go either way. You have to play well tonight.
When Amir was here, he was obviously never a big scorer guy, never a huge rebound guy. Why was he the right guy to bring in at that time for you guys?
For us, excellent veteran player, unselfish, which I thought showed maybe more in the playoffs than anything else last year when he was, kind of gone back and forth between not only being in the starting lineup but not playing at all. Always positive. We always say that when Amir got on the plane, he had a smile, and he made sure he acknowledged everybody and talked to everybody and cheered everybody up, regardless if you won or lost. That stuff goes a long way in an 82-game season. And you can tell it if you can tell it as a staff, the players can feel it. And so I'm sure that he's having that kind of same impact in the Philly locker room.
Is Covington their not-so-secret weapon?
He not paid like that, right? Right. He just signed that big deal, and so it's hard to be a secret. He hasn't been a secret to us for a long time. He's been a heck of a player, very versatile, has gotten really good defensively, which I think has been a big part of his development. And then he's good putting it on the floor, but he can go for 5 or 6 in a row from behind the arc, and with him and Redick out there, it's scary.
Brad, even with the three-guard lineup, Kyrie Irving, Marcus Smart, Terry Rozier, second quarter to start things off, really got you guys going on a run. Is that something you can see again, putting Kyrie with that second unit?
Potentially. We did it in Indiana, and it was good. It wasn't as good in the second half, but potentially, yeah. I mean, we're still, because of the injuries that we've had early on in the year, I think we're still looking for the exact right times and places for everybody, but balancing that minutes portion of it as well, which is a kind of a delicate balance right now. So I want to make sure that we're playing well as we can for 48, and certainly having Kyrie with his second unit or Al with the second unit is something that we're talking about a lot.
Coach, with players coming to the league with troubles with their shot mechanics, what's the thought process like of trying to make improvements to it as opposed to just kind of scrapping it and trying to rebuild from there?
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about mechanics as results. If a lot of the best shooters of all time shoot it all kinds of different ways. So just a matter of if it goes in or not, and then it's individualized. Each guy would be coached individually, and some guys that may need something where you want to talk about restructuring their shot or whatever the case may be. But most of the time for me, I've always thought it's about trying to instill confidence and talking small tweaks, small changes, small things to think about that don't interrupt your mind when the game is on the line out there. Thanks.